Hello, LCPs, and welcome to another session in the LCP Academy, which is Mastering iGV. Remember, as the LCP, it means that you are in charge of ensuring the success of your LC in general. That's why we really designed the LCP Academy, so that you could be able to understand what iGV entails, OGV, every single department, so that you're able to at least know what you are tracking for each and every VP that you have. So first things first, is to understand what exactly is global volunteer. Remember, at the LC level, we are only running iGV, which is why I only focused on that in my presentation today. So global volunteer is the chance to explore new cultures, get new experiences, and develop new and soft skills and intercultural skills through a social project abroad. The duration is 6 to 8 weeks, not more than 8 weeks, remember. And the compensation is accommodation, which the EPs pay for depending on the different project prices. If you are not sure about what that is, you can pause, ask your VP iGV, and then just note it down. Remember, as LCP, you need to understand everything. If you have 5 projects, know what these 5 projects are, where they are located, how much the EP fee is for each and every project, how much the project fee is basically. Then it's for people between the ages of 18 to 30 years old, and our opportunity providers are NGOs and public schools. So first things first, before you track someone, it's important to understand what their job description is, what their deliverables are. So here, this is a very packed Google Sheet, so I will go through it as fast as possible because we still have quite a number of content, quite some content to go through. So here you will find what your VP iGV's role is. So I will only look into the first, which is their functional role. The rest are in terms of team management and being a part of the EB team, which I will not go through right now. So the first responsibility is to ensure growth and development of the product and the department. This is in terms of getting more projects started, of course, that are SDG aligned. The goal is not to just start projects, but they're not at all SDG aligned. And then when we get EPs to come here, there's no concrete structure, and we have poor reviews. Hence, people don't apply for the projects for like your particular LC at all. That's not what you want. The other is getting more realizations. Remember, that is the measure of success for iGV. The same way with your VP OGV, you'll be following up with, okay, how many approvals did you have this month? With your VP iGV, it's how many realizations did you have this month? Like, that is their key measure of success. The realizations and the quality of experience that is delivered to each and every member. Then the other is to ensure quality local supply and demand management and goal achievement. We've talked about goal achievement in terms of the realizations. So quality local supply is making sure that you guys are getting applicants on your projects. So this could be in terms of creating IR partnerships so that you can be able to improve the number of applications that you're getting. There's elevating internal processes. Internal processes is just like the process time. How much time does it take when an EP applies to the amount of time that it takes for them to be accepted? If you don't understand what all of that is, don't worry, we will go through that because that is basically what is known as the customer funnel. Next, we have ensure quality customer service. This for iGV is in terms of the membership, not the membership, I almost said membership experience standards, the EP, the exchange standards. There are 16 of them, and iGV is in charge of 12. I will elaborate on that later. And then the other is sales management. Because as I said, you don't just start, for you to start the project, you need to sell ISEC to an NGO, you need to sell ISEC to a public school. For you to get applicants, you need to sell these projects to the applicant. So that's basically what sales management entails. And so you can go through what is expected of them, and then the measure of how to measure for each and every one of the key processes that we have there. So I will not go deep into that. Kindly ensure that you go through this slide. If anything does not make sense. So for example, let me just go through it really quick because I realize it may be confusing. So for the first one, how to measure is percentage of implementation. This is in terms of implementation of the exchange standards, implementation of the strategies and the goals that they have, percentage of growth in terms of numbers, right? How many realizations have we increased in? Has our process time increased? Like percentage of growth, you get? The next is with the second one, it's the number of our partners. This we understand. Percentage goal achievement. If they say they want 35 realizations and they have only attained 15, why is that? Percentage of contribution, process time, and conversions. Like, what is the conversion rate from applied to accepted, from accepted to approved, from approved to realized? You need to understand how that conversion rate works. And I will show you how to be able to check it for yourself. You don't have to get it from them. You can check it for yourself on an expert and come in. Just sit down with them and keep them accountable at all times. Remember, as LCP, that's more of what you are. You keep your VPs accountable, you keep their morale going when it goes down, you support where someone needs support, like you are everywhere at the same time. For the third one, the measure of success, how you measure it is using process time and conversions. The next one, the quality customer service, you said it's percentage standards delivered, amount of partner meetings, because remember, once you started the project, it doesn't just end there. You have to maintain relationships with them. Then net promoter score, we will go through what that is. But if you've gone through the Team Leader Academy already, the same way we have a net promoter score for members, we also have a net promoter score for EPs, so that we are able to understand the kind of the quality of the experience they got from ISEC. Because yes, we've delivered the standards, but how do we know that we've given them a good experience? They feel the net promoter score, and then we know. And then it's our number of completes. First, just a quick thing I need you to know is that, so we have 16 standards. iGV is in charge of 12, but for us to be backed as a complete, we need at least 14 of the 16 standards being fulfilled. Kindly take note of that. And why we need the complete is because when we are looking for IR partnerships, like the people you are looking for, like the OGV for that other entity will be looking at your percentage completes. So that means that is basically a measure of the kind of experience their EPs are to have when they come into your country. The other is sales management, percentage growth of opens, like the number of applicants we're getting, potential companies gotten, and the number of opens. Like this is the number of slots, basically the number of opportunities you started, therefore the number of open slots that you have. And make sure you go through the rest in terms of team management and being an EB member. I was just focusing on the functional part. Then next, who is our target group in iGV? The first is, as I said, the two key people I said we sell to is the young people to come into ISEC and volunteer, NGOs that we can start projects with, and we have public schools. Now here is what we have here is what is referred to as a customer flow. So I will just take you through it, and that way you'll be able to see basically how the customer moves within, basically how they flow, if I may call it, basically how their experience looks like. This is how we are able to track customers and ensure they all go through the same process, and we're also able to find any gaps. For example, if there's a gap between consideration and preparation, we are able to see the gap there and know how to curb it. So the first step is attraction. First of all, kindly note that, let me just drop my video down there. I have included, so the customer flow applies both for both our partners, the youth and our partners in terms of like our opportunity providers, right? So they go through the same process. I have placed here what the abbreviations mean, like APD, RE. I have written down here what each one of them means. So first of all, we have, I'll just go through the youth one because technically they are the same. So attraction is where we have started our projects, we have created our iGV booklet, then now we've sent it out. Like that's what attraction means. So like what we use to measure this is the number of opens, which is basically the number of applicants that we have. And consideration, now in consideration phase is where there's a lot going on. We have open to applied, applied to accepted, accepted to approved. Open is the number of slots that you have. And then, not depending on these slots, EPs now apply. They see the open slots and they apply. And once they apply, they need to be contacted by someone from the iGV portfolio. And then once they are contacted, this person from ISEC in Uganda schedules an interview with the EP, or they send them a set of interview questions, and then the EP responds with a video in case they are not able to settle on a time that works for both of them. Then only when they feel, when they complete this and now the EP has, fulfilled responded to the questions well or whatever, now that's when they become accepted. Then after that, they become approved once they pay the approval fee. So that's what this process entails. And consideration is actually a key process because in iGV, that determines the number of realizations that we get. Because if we get a lot of applications, we don't contact them early enough, they apply to other opportunities. Because quick disclaimer, with iGV, EPs apply for multiple opportunities. You get? So if they apply to Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and then Tanzania reaches out within, like, imagine if Tanzania reaches out immediately, they apply, and then Uganda reaches out a week later. By the time you're coming in a week later, the EP has probably even been approved already. So you have to make sure you're following up with your VPs to check EXPA daily. Preparation stage happens between the approval and realization. Here is where we provide the EP with support in terms of getting an invitation, sending them an invitation letter if they need a visa, for them to be able to process their visa, telling them about the economy, not the economy, like the standards of living here, like how much will they need to be able to sustain themselves, and any other questions that they may have prior to them arriving. Because if you're going to a country that you've never been to before, you have so many questions. So it's up to the iGV portfolio to support the EPs in that sense. Realize to finish is once now the EP has arrived into the country, the iGV portfolio coordinates the airport pickup, they coordinate making sure the EP has had in the incoming preparation seminar done for them. They've been taken to their first day of work. They know how to, they have converted their currency, just basically supporting them in the entire experience. We said finished is the final day when the EP completes their project. And then an EP is only marked as a complete when they feel the net promoter score and we have fulfilled 14 of the 16 standards. Kindly remember that again and again. Remind yourself of that again and again, sorry. So here are the exchange standards. I will not go into them, but what I wanted you to take note of is the 12 standards that iGV is in charge of, the host entity. Remember, your iGV is the host entity for EPs that come into the country. Your OGV is the home entity for the young people in Uganda that you are trying to send out to other countries abroad to volunteer. So iGV is in charge of 12 out of the 16 standards. So immediately you get EPs into the country, it does not stop there. You need to follow up with your VP iGV and ensure that the EP is actually getting a quality membership, not membership, quality exchange experience. So here they are. I will not go deeper into them. If you want a deep dive into them, you can go to, under the National Education Cycle tool, just go to under iGV, check for the exchange standards and go through them. I was just giving you an overview so that you know what to follow up with with your VPs. Then next is the IR partnerships. Remember, when we were defining the job description of the VP, we talked a lot. Some of the things we will use to measure success were the number of IR partnerships. But then the question is, why do we really need IR partnerships? So the thing that happens is when we fail to have IR partnerships, yes, you are still able to get applicants, you're still able to get realizations, but there tends to be slow conversion rate from applied to accepted. This is because you don't have, like, you don't know this EP. But imagine if we maybe have an IR partnership with ISEC in Germany. So when we immediately an EP applies, we reach out to them. In case they're not responding, we reach out to their EP manager, who we know, who we've been talking to, and hence their process is hastened. The next is we have high rejection rates. We have difficult communication with the home and host LCs. And remember, something that you may have taken note of, iGV is in charge of 12 standards. But remember, for complete, you need 14 of the 16 standards. So if the two collaborate, they are able to facilitate better a complete experience. Because first, the OGV talks to the EP about the exchange standards. When they come into the country, the iGV people also talk to the EP about this exchange standard. So as the EP is going through, they understand at the back of their mind, I'm supposed to feel a net promoter score. And then now the OGV, on that side, once the EP arrives, because they have a debrief, if you check here, among the standards that the OGV has is debrief with ISEC, which is where now the EP feels the net promoter score. So now if you have an IR partnership, you're able to follow closely with OGV to ensure that it's done. I have only just taken a slide, so we are not going to go into the 5 simple steps to maintain an LC partnership, because that is for your LCVP IGV to do and for you to follow up on. So how to check for performance? This is a very key aspect, because your LCVP IGV has set their goals. They've said they want 35 realizations, but how will you be able to track them? Right? So this is just an overview of analytics. This is under Expa. This is within Expa under analytics. So this is how it looks like. So the first thing that you are able to check for is the process time and the conversion rate. This you check for under the funnel. You come here to funnel, enter the product as IGV, not IGV old, IGV, entity, enter your LC name, and then you are able to, the time period, it varies. You can check for the daily one, the weekly, last month, this month, this quarter, or you can custom range that you can see the performance. This you can do maybe when you want to compare with your VP, like we had this last year, and yours is here this year. Like maybe they've improved, they've dropped, whatever you want to use this information for. You're able to see the process time. So for example, you can see here, the conversion rate for this LC from applied to achieved is very, very low. So you as LCP will then know to, okay, approved to realized is good to go. Accepted to approved, not at 100, but it's good enough. It's above average, really. Slightly above average, but still above average. But when you look at applied to accepted, that's where you see as LCP that the gap comes in. So this is now when you decide to focus on, okay, for my LCVPs, this is what I will mostly be looking into. And as you can see, the process time for that is also much, much bigger, because typically applied to accepted, the process time should not be more than 3 days. 3 days, 72 hours is the maximum process time from applied to accepted by host. Next, we have the entity standards. We talked about the 16 standards. Here under entity standards, you are able to check, same with entering the filters, but you're able to check how the percentage, how the standards delivery for your LC has been done. Here you're able to check for performance. Maybe you want to check from since you started your term, like 1st February to that, like that particular quarter you're in, 1st February, March, April. To the end of April, you want to check the numbers and compare them against the numbers that the VP set during planning. This is where you check for them. And then we have the graphical analysis. So the graphical analysis, first of all, I want you to take note of the color codes that have been used, like approvals, realizations, before I show you the graph. So graphical analysis helps you to be able to see when your peak approvals are, when your peak realizations are, right? So when you see green is realizations, dark blue is complete, and then the red is approvals. So able to see a peak approval time is between April and July. So that's when you will be mostly following up with your VP to check the number of approvals we have now. And that also means that applications will also be coming in around that time. Like between now is when we have applications, most of the applications coming in for summer peak. And summer peak, as you can see, summer peak, also known as, formerly known as summer peak, now known as fruit peak, is when we have the highest number of realizations, because that's when people are on summer holiday. This is between July and September. So you're able to see here, this is when most of them come in. Actually, September is when now the winter peak is just starting and summer peak is just ending. So can you take note of that? You see, this is between around August is when summer peak, this is at the highest point, right? And now most of them complete the experiences in September. That's what that means. And then from water scope, we already talked about this. You are also able to get an analysis of this on Excel. So what are the tracking routines with your VP IGV? You need to ensure that they're checking expert daily. You need to check with them on their performance report during the EB meetings on a weekly basis, follow up on members with their EPs. This is on a weekly basis. Monthly goal for IGV, checking them on a monthly basis during your monthly reporting. And then the IGV strategies that they defined during planning, also do this checking on a monthly basis. Finally, I want us to talk about the entity control board. This is very, very important, because at the end of the day, we've said IGV not only just brings in EPs, but they also deliver quality standards. So basically what the ECB does, they're sort of like the policeman for exchange standards. They make sure that we actually are compliant with delivering exchanges that are compliant with the exchange standards. So as I said, the ECB stands for the Entity Control Board. So here we see who is involved in exchange. Previously, we thought it was just the EP, the sending entity, and the hosting entity. But now the ECB is also part of it. This is because they're the ones who audit. So they audit the exchanges we've had to ensure that they are aligned with the exchange standards. So they check to see if Uganda is following the APIP rules. If you don't know what that is, do not worry. We will go through what that is. But if just a brief overview, APIP, which is known as the ISEC Portfolio Internal Policies, is a book, it's a document, if I may call it, a document that defines the minimums of how to run the different programs that we have. Like Global Volunteer, what are the minimums? How should that program be run? Global Talent, Global Teacher, how are they to be run? For iGV, for OGV, for ICX, for OGX, so that we are able to work with that. So it's the guiding document, and it is from that document that we the ECB is able to guide the entity. Then the next thing is that ECB is an independent body and it works with ISEC internationally. So on an international basis, we have International Control Board, which audits all entities. The Entity Control Board, which is the ECB, is for a particular country. Like we have ECB Uganda, ECB Tanzania, ECB Kenya. But now the same way ECB Uganda will audit all of the LCs, the ICB will audit all of the entities. So just ensure that you are also, that's something for you to take note of. Like when you're having attachments with the VP IGV, like how, what are the attachments you've had with the ECB? Have you had any attachments with the ECB? Is that something I wanted you to at least know? And why the ECB is important, it's for us to be more customer-centric, ensure EPs have an amazing experience, to maintain our financial legal, because I said we have the ECB conducts audit and reputational health, and to build a better future for all of us. So thank you so much. That is the end of this video. Kindly remember to take the quiz. And if you need to go through the slides again, kindly make sure to do so.